Hi, I'm Michael McKell.
I'm Claudia Grace McKell.
And I'm Jacob Anderton, and I'm talking to Chris on Hellblazer Beers.
Everyone, as always, welcome. I've got Michael McKell, Claudia McKell, and Jacob Anderton. Jacob's returning to me today to chat to me today about Claudia's new film, Just a Girl, and hopefully a few more things. So welcome, guys. Thank you for coming on.
Pleasure, mate. No problem.
Cool, yeah, so, I mean, the first time I've obviously spoken to you guys, second time I've spoken to Jacob, which is obviously always an honour, so it's nice to see how much stuff he's actually done since then as well, which is which is tremendous in a year. You've done pretty well. And moving on, obviously, one of the films that you've got now, which I know you are promoting, is Just a Girl, which is Claudia's first film. So, Claudia, can you tell me more about this film?
So the film came about, I wrote the script about last year, after I had a car crash and I had a bit of time to spare. So I started writing, and it started off like as a song, and it was nothing really ever going to be into a film. And then I thought there was a little bit more to discuss within the topics that I was talking about.
Mm-hmm.
So I decided to write a short, and then there's kind of been multiple drafts with like more people I've met, because I went out and researched. Like, a lot of girls came to me on Facebook and said, I've got hearing loss and let's connect and talk. So I met with a couple of people and spoke to people over the phone about it, and then also the martial arts element. So the script kind of developed through that, and it's still actually developed. Like, yesterday I was speaking to one of the actors and we were just talking about, I was working with him, so the script kind of felt right to him as well. And yeah, it's about a girl that's losing her hearing. She's an ex-karate champion, and she moves to a rural village, and she meets Jacob's character at a karate class, and it's all unravels really their kind of story together.
Cool. So where did the whole idea come from again? Sorry, So
it came from when I was younger. I was at nursery, and I used to sit on my own, and I wouldn't be with the other group of children, and my auntie noticed it when she was picking me up, and then she spoke to my mum and she said, look, I think something's up with Claudia, I'm not quite sure. So my mum took me to the doctors, and it was discovered that I had a hearing issue, and I had an operation, and from that operation I've been left with tonal hearing difficulties.
Okay.
Which means I don't it's quite hard to explain because I sing, so people never really get it.
Yeah.
So it means pitch, so certain male voices tend to be the lower register, and some people's accents, if they're all up and down, sometimes I miss words. But what it meant at school, I had to sit at the front at school, and when I did all my exams, I was in a smaller room instead of the big halls because of the cacophony of sound. I've never really done anything about it. I kind of ignored it. I didn't really I was in all the choirs, got grade 8 singing, did everything really that people would say people that had hearing difficulties couldn't do. And it was only till my friend's got cochlear implants, and I was out with her, and I noticed people were looking at her because the cochlear implants were quite visible. And I just opened up a conversation. I just said to her, how is that when people look at you? And she said, it's so frustrating because really it's worse. I'd rather them just ask me about my hearing loss. And then I opened up a conversation with my mum and said, oh, what was it like when I had to have that operation? And she just got upset, and she just said it was horrible, the not knowing. So I thought I wanted to write a story about this and give a platform for young people going through this, they're losing their hearing. And I wanted to focus on the emotional part, because I think people forget when you are losing a sense, or even if you're a young 20-year-old or whatever, there's this idea of loneliness, and I think it's quite important to explore that. So that's what I wanted to kind of show, but in a film, in a visual, so it's not really about the medical side, it's more about the emotional people side, how the family is affected, how it affects going to a karate class, meeting someone new. Because a lot within meeting people and dating people, that was the main conversation where people were I've got a hearing loss, I would never consider going out with a guy or going out with a girl or whatever. They were because I've got to tell them that I'm deaf, the acceptance, the trust. So it kind of explores that within the film, because I thought there's a lot of films that focus on young children or older people with hearing loss, even just on an advert basis, awareness, but it's not that middle age of 20-year-olds, that awkward time where you're kind of not an adult but you're not a teenager anymore, you've moved back home and you're still trying to work things out, that limbo land. So yeah, that's where the film kind of came about. My friend, and also I guess my own experiences.
Sorry, mute myself. Sorry, that's good. That's good.
Sorry, did you fall asleep?
Sorry, no, I muted myself. Thanks for that. Cheers. No, that's a really interesting concept. It's quite a common thing, I think.
Yeah. Also, that's why, because it's quite. I think it's more common than people think. And like when you start talking to people, even if they've like lost, they've got like hearing in one ear. There's different ways. I've got a friend that's got hearing in one ear, and she says when I'm in a restaurant, I place myself in a certain place.
Mm-hmm.
There's different, like, I think also it looks at the different kind of hearing loss. There isn't just one thing to hearing loss, and people don't deal with it in one way. So it's about that really as well.
Yeah, definitely. It's just, like you say, it's a great thing. I mean, I love shorts, I love independent film because you seem to always choose really meaningful topics that will hit people and touch people and get them to maybe open up more. Maybe they were talking, or maybe they were thinking they know this. Like you said, your friend who's got the implants and said, "Just why can't people just talk to me?" It brings it out to people and just says, "Right, okay, it is acceptable. People can open up. People can." Just be open and talk about things rather than trying to keep something secret or feel awkward, just because they might, not have hearing loss. Like you say, I mean, your character is judo champion, so she's not done well for us for anything. It's not hindered her, has it? Yeah.
Obviously, it's that stereotype as well, because it's like this stereotype. It's kind of getting better, but like dumb and deaf, like you can't achieve, and it is within mainstream schools. There isn't really support needed, or the accessible support needed, but it doesn't still mean that you can't achieve. You just have to. I just had to work a little bit harder, and like I was literally in the library constantly because in class I would be missing things, the verbal things that teacher was saying. I would miss, and I'd go up every time and ask. But I guess if you want to achieve anything, you kind of have to do that anyway, regardless of any issues.
And I think there's that element of almost acceptance. I mean, I've got a friend of mine who I think we talked about.
Yeah, we did.
A girl called Charlie Martin, who is now she found out that she had a sort of regressive hearing problem that was getting worse, so she decided she was going to do something with it, and she set up this YouTube channel where it started off as like doing pop songs and then signing to the pop songs. She's now got this channel that's like, it's called like BSL with Charlie, but she's like really built up a fan base, and it's just promoting that fun side of things. That she obviously has this setback, but it's she can still be fun and achieve stuff with it, and I think that's what this film is really about.
Yeah.
And if you create platforms where people recognise a situation, and it's almost like sometimes if you hear a great song, a lyric can say things you couldn't say. It's the same with a film.
Yeah.
Sometimes you think, oh, there's somebody else. I'm not just on my own. And if you get to one person, that's enough. That's enough.
Yeah, definitely, and that that's like you say, it's just to have that feedback from one would be fantastic. To obviously hope there'll be more than that. But I'm just saying, but yeah, you're right. You are. If you can reach one person, you're a success.
Like we said before, you don't, like you just said it, you don't realise how many people it affects. I mean, talking back to Charlie at the Christmas, I was doing pantomimes, and she got a load of different panto casts to learn a little tiny piece of BSL.
Yeah.
To go on with it's Merry Christmas Everyone by is it Shakespeare? Merry Christmas.
Shakin'
Stevens, yeah.
So,
I like how we all just had to sit there and sing that then for a minute.
But it was amazing because Emily Isaacs, who we were talking about earlier, one of her children, I believe, has hearing problems, and she just said we've just sat down and watched that Christmas video, and it's really put a smile on his face. And like you say, that's the one person, isn't it? That's the one person that Mike was just talking about there. Exactly,
and that's the whole. That's the point. That's it's a great feeling then, knowing that your work, what you've done, what you've created, the meaning and the story that you wanted to convey has actually hit and reached that person there. So Jacob, kind of you played the lead in this film. So what drew you to the role? How did you guys? I mean, I know you've worked with Michael before. Because you worked with him in 13 Grays, which I'm still yet to see because I want to see. I can't wait. It's on my list. I'm excited as hell to watch that one. So yeah, how did you get involved in this project?
Well, first of all, I will say it's Claudia's really the lead of the film. It follows her story. No, it doesn't. It follows.
Well, you're the male lead, should I say?
And my character is there to sort of to be that person that maybe reacts in a way that a lot of people do. He's a genuinely, it comes across, and he's really well written, because I said to you on the phone, actually, I think that he just comes across so normal. He's like, the things he says, the things he does is probably how I would react. And he does things that are maybe stupid, but he's just not really had the time to think it through. His initial reactions are what he thinks is trying to be nice, but actually it's probably, he should just, it's fine. It's not a big issue. You don't even need to address it. So that really attracted to me. It's just a very human story. The characters are very real. They just, I said to you when we first read it, it just reads incredibly real. It just seemed like normal people. And it was lovely because obviously Michael played my dad. As a lot of people say they can see, because he actually looks more like my dad than my real dad does. I'm not actually sure what's going on there.
You got the same grin going on.
Yeah. But no, so he, bless him, I think he introduced me to Claudia, and then I couldn't. There was no way I was ever going to refuse it once I read the script, because I make it. Yeah.
Fantastic. Same for you, Michael, as well. I mean, you are a veteran of the screen yourself. I've looking at your IMDb page and stuff. It's like, whoa, scrolling down. keep going for all the stuff you've been in. So, what was? I mean, obviously, what have you drawn from this experience filming Just a Girl?
With this, obviously we start.
You start in July, don't you? You haven't started yet. Sorry.
No, we start shooting tomorrow.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Literally tomorrow.
Fantastic.
Because obviously Claudia's grown up on film sets and in theatres. One, I didn't want any of my children to go into this industry because it's completely nuts. And not isn't everyone crazy? That's because it's a business based on luck and relationships. It isn't, but there's no natural path. You just have to get lucky sometimes and know the right people. So it was very important that in her education and growing up, that she has some business acumen. And also that you don't wait for a telephone to ring. You don't wait for other people to make decisions on your destiny. Mm-hmm. So to try, not control it, but at least try to drive it. Because you make your own luck. In life, nothing happens by doing nothing. So as an artist, as an actor, you have to put in some effort. And over the years, one thing I've learned is working mainstream theatre, mainstream TV and film, that the independent section is where there are platforms you can do work that sort of like feeds your heart. It's a bit like when you first start acting, you do fringe plays. Mm-hmm. You work with young writers, you work with young directors, and as I've got older, one thing that's very important to me is nurturing talent of the young, whether it be my own children or people like Jacob, working with people like Jacob or Kevin Leslie or Matt Hawkins, people I've worked with, or Don Lenoir. It's very important because you learn more and you can pass on some sort of like, not guidance, but at least a little bit of experience. So I think it's very, because it creates I recently worked with Declan O'Dwyer. I did Declan's, when I decided to become an actor, because I came to it late, I did 26 student films, and I sort of cherry-picked all the students that I thought were good.
Yeah.
And I was with Declan O'Dwyer was nominated for an Emmy only recently. Is a brilliant man, and so flash forward 21, there's me and Charlie Dance doing his graduation piece. He's now 51, and then I'm working on Vera with him, and then we worked on a short film. In fact, Claudia worked on it as well, called Irish Standout. So it's very important to nurture, if nothing else, these young people might give you a job later on.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's a great way to look at it and say, to nurture. Like say, I mean, you're not the first person who I know who's had their children grow up in the industry and then they've said the first thing they said was don't go into it. It's quite a common thing because you are. Like you say, it's the relationships. I've got to say, from my pure little, the tiny part that I'm in doing this show that I've done, it's only since I started going out and pushing out and going to like the little screenings and stuff where I met Jacob last year at the Pet, stuff like that, where you have to build those relationships and push them out yourselves, because the only time I get more guests like yourselves and get people writing to me wanting to come on is because even I've had to go out there and push. It's work. It doesn't come to me.
Yeah.
It doesn't come it doesn't come easy to me. It's like I have to go out there and physically, and it's just as demanding. I mean, I can imagine. I mean, I'm not going to go into it because I know how many times for every film that you've got here, and every time that you're on screen, all the other auditions and stuff that you've gone through, and you've had to work to push just to get the one shot on there. So I mean, it's just a really hard industry to do so. So congratulations, Claudia, for this, because this is fun. And it's not just your first film, is it? I mean, you told me you've got a couple of others out there already as well. Blade of the Assassin.
I made a decision. I never wanted to act. I trained as a dancer at Bird College,
Mm-hmm.
and I thought that was what I was going to do. I was going to be a professional dancer. And then in my last year, all my acting teachers were saying, I think you are an actor. I think you need to look into that. So I auditioned for acting school, didn't get into anything. Thought, right, okay, I'm not meant to be an actor. That's not what I'm meant to do.
Mm-hmm.
And then last year, doing theatre, so I did like a couple of theatre, and then had this car crash. And I said to Dad, look, I don't know what I'm going to do. I can't dance for about a year. And he said, oh, there's this part in The Guard of Altus. It's one of the leads. What do you think? And I was like, well, I don't want to be an actor. Mm-hmm. And then I was like, okay. And I auditioned for it, got it. And Dad was like, you'll learn even if you don't want to be an actor. And then that's kind of where I got into it. And then, so I did a couple of films there. And then I worked on another side, with Matt Hookins and Dom Lenoir with Camelot Films, as I come in to do the cinema runs. Mm-hmm. So as like just assistant producer on I Love My Mum, so with the cinema run, and I did with Winter Ridge as well on the marketing for that. And in a way, you learn about how there's a business side to film, rather than there's so much to getting this film made and then distributed, and then in cinema it's like works in layers. So yeah, I kind of tried to put myself in as many positions within the industry as possible, and even like getting on sets as the runner, getting on sets as the production manager, just to like be around people. Because most of the time, if you're on a set, there is someone with a script like waiting to happen, and you might be the answer to that. And even if it's the social producer, or you come in as a script supervisor, it's all different positions you can learn from. And I've worked out that that's actually how I'm going to be a better actor. Like if you speak to the lighting guy and you know where your key light is in every single scene, then you're going to look better. If you know, if you can help the sound guy out, you're going to sound better. So yeah, that's how I kind of got into film, and so I kind of do a bit of both, because I just made that decision. I didn't want to be. There's a lot of young people that finish and graduate, and they go into like, I'm not dissing this promo work and bar work, but they're working like 40 hours, and then they kind of lose all their creative stuff. Mm-hmm. But if you can be on set, or you can be involved in projects as much as possible, I think it just makes you, when you go to auditions, a bit less stressed and drawn a lot of the time. But obviously, sometimes you have to pay bills. It's like, that's how it works. But so that's how I've got into it, really. Because I just wanted to learn about the business side as well as actually being on set and the creative side. It's kind of two things. You won't have a film without that business.
No.
So, and I think a lot of people are in this creative fairyland, and at the end of the day, it's even as an actor, you're marketing yourself. Like all social media, I've had a couple of jobs through my social media now, but it's only because I know how to. I've marketed the film. Do you know what I mean? So I now use that to market myself as like a brand, I guess. Yeah.
I've had a guest on before. He's an American guy from Rectify and stuff, and he said the same about social media. He said it's so powerful because he keeps coming off it again and coming back on, because he just said when he wants a role, because he says the companies will be looking at your social media just to see how engaged you are, how many people are engaged with you and stuff when they choose. And it's become such. I mean, it's such a positive thing in some ways, but it's also such a negative thing in others, because in my eyes, I've seen, this is my personal opinion, I've seen quite a few people who might have, suddenly they've got like millions of followers on Twitter, have landed a lead role in something, and this is like, I'm talking about Hollywood type, massive big Hollywood things, and the talent is right down here. Whereas you've got all these other people who are really hard working, but just because you're working so hard, you haven't got time to do your Twitter and stuff or whatever it is, and they get passed by. But the talent is so much higher, and that's where I think it's the negative side, where these big, they're just looking at your followers and looking at what's going to draw people into bigger.
Having said that, technology's always been connected to this industry.
Yeah.
TV, film, or music is a big connection, because even if it's in the development of how you record things and how that developed from when you think what George Martin was doing, or Phil Spector, and developed through to Trevor Horn, what's going on now.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, I can record an album on a telephone, or I can shoot a movie on a telephone.
Yeah.
So the embracing of technology is very important, and to an artist, it actually gives you a little bit more power, because gone are the days we had to like play loads of gigs and then maybe get an A&R person to come and see the gig, and then maybe they'll get you a meeting, and then you'll get signed to a label, and then they'll invest in money, and you can do it, and you can do it with film, you can do it with music, and you have a certain amount of independence. There does come a time when it has to make money. It's called show business for a reason. And I mean, Robert Downey Jr. said it recently. He was like, "Why did you go to these big sort of multiplex movies?" And he said, "It was great to be in a movie that people would see."
Yeah.
You know, because there does come a stage where you think, this is, you know, again, going back to Fringe Theatre, which I did quite a lot of in my early days, is that it's great to do new work, new plays, meaningful political pieces. If 6 people see it, you know, sometimes you need, and then work it. Clint Eastwood always does 2 for the studio, 1 for him. 2 for the studio, 1 for him.
Yeah.
So just work it.
But with that social media, I just did Blade Assassin, and I wanted to. I've got martial arts training. I wanted to do a stunt film, and I knew I kind of was being tactful, because I knew that if someone saw me in a martial arts film, I'd then be open up as an action woman, and I've just got another film in September from that. So it's a prime example of I've posted loads about martial arts, and I'm now doing another one in September. So it can happen like that. It's just how you do it.
There is. Yeah, it's how you work it and how you how you work on it. I mean, in fairness, I was listening to you and I was thinking, to be fair, all technology. It goes. I mean, we're sat here on Skype. You know, this is something.
Look what we're doing.
You know, I'm recording this on Skype video, and 3 years ago when I started this, I just started like doing 5 minutes thing. I would never in my wildest dreams have realised that, you know, in a year or 2 years after that, I'd actually be sitting and chatting to actors and producers and filmmakers, because technology, it's only through technology and through Twitter and reaching out and working through that technology that I've actually been able to do what I do. I've got to the stage now, by the way, it is time to make some money on this. Because it's like, this is, you know, because I do this for fun, but it would be nice to actually, you know, to sit back and not have to do the 60 hours a week like you've just mentioned in the other job. So I can just sit back and follow the passion more. But yeah, I mean, you're right. It's how you embrace technology and how you make it work for you.
Yeah, like you say, it's like we said before, and Claudia nailed it. Like, I think nowadays, I think you have to have that as a young actor coming through. I think you have to have that drive to not only just act, because unfortunately nowadays, just with how, you know, with technology and people and its connections and all this, that, and the other, it does really help if you are doing something else as another string to your bow. At least, you know, you're doing a bit of producing, a bit of directing, you're helping other stuff get on its feet, and that's the way that you build those connections and push forward. So yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely.
Definitely. And one thing I love about the UK independent circuit as well is it's a huge family. It seems that it's a cutthroat industry, and obviously people are vying for different roles and stuff, but everyone I've met within this industry in the UK, obviously, you know, it's just been so welcoming and wanting to, all they want to do is help each other and push each. There's probably one or two exceptions, but I don't really know, which there always will be in every industry. But everyone I've met, it's like I went down last year when I came down to that thing, Jacob, with you, the code and stuff like that, with everybody there. I stood up. I had to do the Q&A thing at the front, in front of all these. You know, Patrick told me just before there's 300 people there, they sold out, and that was it. Then a bag of nerves, shaking, just like, oh crap. But everyone was so welcoming there. Thank you. But everyone came up to me afterwards and was like, you know, reaching out, and the amount of friend requests I had for Facebook after that, it just, you know, I was just like accepting, because it just went whoop. Because that's it. You've got to be able to network and get that in, and the family, the familial friend, the feeling of the independent circuit. It's just something I've not experienced before, and it's something I love to have a little part in and see how it grows. Because watching everyone on social media and I, you know, the way you support each other and the way you can just because it's not your film, you can push that per person film because you just want to see them doing well. They want to, it's a joint love for film, and that's what it's all about.
That's exactly it's a love of film and love of filmmaking and trying to make movies that you would want to go and see.
Yeah.
You learn on even the films that I've not been in. I've got a lot of friends that are like, well, you're not in I Love My Mom and Winter Ridge, and I was like, yeah, but I've learned so much on both those sets and being in those meetings, and just even if I sat in when we were in Bulgaria, Dad was on a jury. I just sat in and I listened to people in a meeting on a jury and how they spoke about film and what they liked, what they didn't like. And as an actor and as a young actor, I think we're a little bit arrogant to think, oh, once we've done acting school or drama school or dance school, we just know it, and you really don't. Because it's about essentially what the audience want. And so just being around different people within the indie circuit, I think is really important. And listening to those conversations and talking to people about jobs and things like that and how different things pan out, because you learn from those experiences, I think.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Winter Ridge, I had Dom, I was speaking to Dom last week, actually. He was one of those people when you're talking about obviously getting everyone to, I was calling Dom the Don, because he just seems to be the glue. Everything I see in basically, as long as sharing with Dom's this, Dom that, because he's he goes out there. It was quite, we're having a good laugh about that, to be fair, because he is, that's another example of what I said. The circuit is just helping each other and helping push each other through. And Winter Ridge has done so well as well. But the other one, 13 Graves, I want to talk about as well. So I've not seen this, but there's two. Claudia's been on the set. You two have worked on it. So how did you find doing that? Because that's a proper feature film, and it's taken off really, really well. So I'll give that to Michael.
Go on. I'll let you serve.
The script, for me, it's always about the script, and John Landry's script is a great script. And I saw the film recently at the Curtain in Eastbourne, and it's a well-crafted piece. It's great charismatic performances from all involved, which hold the screen, and it's a great example of actors working together. It's a great ensemble piece. It's a cross genre with gangster horror, and it's brilliant. It's a very worthy piece, and I hope John goes on to bigger and better things as with the cast. And that's when it's because you bounce from big budget to lower budget, and you just do the same. It doesn't stop the way you work. You still do your research. You still are prepped for it, and you get to work with great people like John Landry. Is a great director. He's a great director, and will go on to do bigger and grander things.
Yeah, similarly for me, actually, I was very lucky actually with 13 Graves, because I knew of John. I knew of his previous film 4. And I saw he posted something on Facebook about really early on about 13 Graves, and then was chatting about it. So I did that really cheeky actory sort of thing of messaging him on Facebook and being like, "Hey mate, got any jobs?" And bless him, he watched the show and he said, "Oh, okay, well potentially, can you try these scenes out?" And I sent back a couple of scenes, and bless him, what was lovely is that he wanted me to do it. But understandably, as this business is, they were maybe holding out for someone with a bigger rep, which is, I completely understand. That's the way it works. And it went on, and I'm very thankful to John, because he held his ground, and he sort of ended up telling the company in the end that, listen, this is the guy I'd like to use. And I think I got confirmed about 2 days before principal photography started, I think. But yeah, like I say, it was a real pleasure and an incredible experience to work with the likes of Michael and the boys and Terry, and I'm really pleased and incredibly proud to be a part of it, actually. And like I say, I've seen it a couple of times now, and I think it plays. I think it does.
Yeah, it stands up. It stands up.
Fantastic! I really can't wait to watch it. The other thing is, there's so many people in there I've met, and I know it's like yourselves. You, Michael, Kevin, Leslie, Morgan, James are in there as well. So it's just, for me, it'll probably annoy my wife, because I just sit there and look. I know him. I've spoken to him. It's like, that's what I'm like going to say.
T-bombs, so more about them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Excellent. So that's looking really, really good. And something else that you do, Claudia, I was going to mention it before, but I changed the track of the conversation again, sorry, which is, as you probably found, I do quite often, is talking about the production and business side. You have started your own production company as well to encourage women into film. So what can you tell me about that? Because, I mean, that's your dad telling, going about the industry going into it, and then you're not just doing acting, you're making your own films, and now you've got a production company as well, so you're going really full-fledged into this.
Yeah, it was just like I think I read an article, and it was just about the statistics of women in roles like producer roles, writing roles, and directing roles, and I was just a bit shocked that there weren't as many as I thought. And it's not that there's not as many, there just isn't the press. I think it was discovered in Cannes. It's not actually, the statistics are there, but there are women directors. There's quite a lot, but it's not getting the necessarily. And I've always had the philosophy that shouldn't be based on your gender. It should just be based on if you're good and hardworking. So I've only ever got roles based on, I only ever worked with Matt and Dom because they wanted me because I was good. It was never down to the fact that I was a girl or anything. I think it was. But yeah, so basically I just want to encourage women into film, even if it's just being a runner, but we need like more sparks, gaffers, female DOPs, assistant cameramen, because there's no reason why. Like, I just think it's at the moment it's just mainly men. Like, I've worked with one female director.
Yeah.
Rest writing wise has always been men. So yeah, the production company is just to promote women led kind of stories. Because also I think there's a whole issue at the moment with their writing. Basically, they're taking a male role but putting a female actress in it. Well, that woman-led story, like, it's a different thing. If you write a part for a woman, if you're just writing parts and you're really looking for a guy, but you're like, oh well, because like it's all about women at the moment. Let's put a woman in that role. It's not really the same thing.
It's not the same. You hear it a lot with writers. They really like the script, but the part of the guy detective. What if she's a woman? And it's like, no, but then it doesn't work. It's completely different.
And also,
and that's not writing for women. That's Claudia said. That's just like replacement.
Yeah. It is. Yeah, it's just trying to, what's the word? Be one of the sheep pander to the mass. Yeah.
And also, like, they're writing women. Like, every woman has to be a strong role. And actually, the first thing I look for when I get a part in a script is when's her scene where she's vulnerable. When's her scene, because that's when you see the character. When you do all like the strong martial arts stuff, and I love all that, it's amazing. But there needs to be like at least one scene in the script where you just see the real woman. And I think that's also where it's getting missed. Is like we're writing parts of women that are really like strong and like almost quite masculine, whatever that means. But that's what I try to do with Just to Go, is create strong women, but completely like rounded with their femininity and masculine sides and all those energies put together. So yeah, that's what the production company is about. It's just saying to young girls, you can do it. There's no reason why you can't do it. And also, it's called Essex Girl Productions, and that's because I'm an Essex girl. And in the dictionary, never tell. And no, it's because in the dictionary, Essex girl is in the dictionary, and it describes an Essex girl. There's not like Shropshire girl. There's not Essex boy. And it's basically an Essex girl definition if she's brash, unintelligent, and materialistic. And I just think that's kind of, that definition can change, but it will never be taken out. So I called it Essex Girl Productions just as a kind of like to challenge those kind of stereotypes. And even if you are brash, not very smart, what is smart? Just passing a B in your maths doesn't necessarily mean you're smart. It means you're smart in that area. There's different kinds of smart, and that's also what I kind of champion.
Only a B.
I got 2 D's. No, but what I'm trying to say is, I think people have got this mixed opinion on one, Essex girls, and also intelligence within girls, because obviously with the grid girls and things that's gone on at the moment, and I just wanted to make a production company for everyone and kind of say, it doesn't really matter, that stereotype doesn't matter, as long as you're willing, passionate, and hardworking, then you can do whatever you want. That's my kind of idea.
Excellent. That's a really good ethos, and you're right. I mean, the chat we had, it goes. I mean, they do replace. I mean, I'm going to go myself out on a limb, and I'll say the recent Ghostbusters film I actually liked it, to be fair. I thought it was hilarious. But a lot of the comments were, and I think that's exactly the kind of point you're alluding to. I think in that respect, from my point of view, that was one where they just put women in the roles because they wanted to. They just, that was the idea. It was just like, I know, let's just make them women for a change, and it's not making the characters. This is exactly the opposite of what you're trying to do, and a prime example of what you brought up, and that's probably why.
The Bond thing at the minute, obviously, is a current, the hot topic. But I agree. I think the part of Bond is misogynistic, but that's because his character is written in that way. That's the character. He has got that misogynistic element to him, but it's a weakness to him. It's a flaw in his character.
It is.
You can't blame. I don't know. You can't start blaming male because that's the character. It's not.
Yeah.
It's a real
but
tough
that's
one.
Also I think. That's also where it's going also the wrong side with the whole women this, is that we're afraid to be ugly. That's also the second thing I look at. When can I be really ugly as part? Because it's all kind of nice and cozy and everything's a little bit like PC. And I don't really like that because in life nothing is PC, it's awkward and
it's the generation of filter. People filter their pictures to the point of when they turn up to a date, no one recognises anyone. You see them walking around pubs looking for the picture. Malay people not
featureless.
So, and especially as an actor, the most interesting actors that for me, because I know it's subjective, are those that dare to be ugly.
Yeah, so it is because it's easy. Well, I say it's not easy. Let's look at the state of me. It's to be beautiful. It's not. It's
no filter.
It's no filter. Yeah, there's no. Yeah, it's no filter. As you can see, and it's horrible. It's to go out there, like you say, to be able to push yourselves out there as an actor because you're going in front of all these people, and to portray yourself ugly, whether it's not just in physical appearance, but in the mental and the actual character itself to be really nasty. I mean, it's probably the better character to work on. I was in a film 2 years ago and I didn't know, it was only a little tiny bit, I was only a little featured extra. I didn't know until I got there what the character was. They only gave me the lines for the one bit I was in, and they were all, when I turned up, they were, "Are you really sure you want to do this?" And I was like, "Yeah, why? You know what happens, you know who you are." And I was like, "No. I was part of a paedophile ring, apparently." Which and I was like, "Great, thanks. You could have chosen me a nicer character to be for the only type of film I'm going to be in." But then everyone would turn around and say, "No, but that's
case come up."
Sorry.
When does your case come up?
Yeah. I didn't make a very good demise at the end of it. So, but that was everyone turned around and said when I said I was really horrified that was the case, and they said, "Well, no, but that's." The better part of it is because it's more better. It's much more rewarding and challenging to play a character in that sort of knowing that about who your character was. You don't see any of it in there, thank God for that. There's nothing like that. But it was just. But everyone turned around and said, "That's the most rewarding bit is to play the bad guys, to play the evil, the dark, the ugly character." And it's so you can see there's huge.
And the challenge is to get over your own preconceptions and insecurities that you might have about that type of person, and let that go and sort of, like you say, play the part and sort of forget about it and dare to be ugly or disgusting or whatever you are in that moment. Then you'll probably find at the end of it that's the real stuff, isn't it? That's the
That's all actually the insecurity bits that you feel as general. I always think like when I look on the screen, they're always my best scenes. The bits that I'm in that moment, like if I was with an actor I was really unsure of, for some reason I always find them more real. I don't know, you say opposite. You say you have to be really relaxed. But for me it's when I feel most.
But everyone has a different way of working, so it's a collective. That's why ensemble pieces are great. It's like you get a group of musicians together that just riff together and then it forms a unit. That's when it's at its most exciting.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's with independent because you just come together. Difficult, okay, with the Hollywood films, it's not knocking them because they're great, but they've got big budgets. But it's much more difficult. Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah, no one's going to knock that because that's what you want to get out there. You want to be, the West End's, Leicester Square premieres and stuff like that, which would be fantastic. But when you get, I think some of those massive budget ones, they don't have the cohesion and the unity. Like you've just said, where like everyone just comes together, like riffs together and stuff like that. In an independent film, you can do that. You've got the chance to do that. You've got there's a mutual respect because it's you're there all the time. You can just give, is what I'm trying to say in a weird way.
Yeah, like with Just a Girl, like everyone. So say like most of the actors haven't met like loosely, but everyone is together essentially. Like how we've put it together. So like down to just budget. Jacob's room in the film is his room in the film. So it's very but doing to like I think that's what indie films are allowed. But we said
I'll make sure I pick up my socks.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah.
about, like, the thing
Put those mags away. Yeah.
if you just go straight in, well, I think we said this on the phone, is you just have to jump into a character and just jump in with a team and kind of just ride with them and see what happens. That's what's I quite enjoy.
And then
actually.
you get that great moment where you can, in the day as busy it is, you can collaborate and go, oh, I've just had a thought, maybe we could try something like this or try this. Whereas potentially with bigger budget stuff, you don't get that opportunity. I remember years ago, I did my first ever big TV gig. I did a program called Dark Angels on ITV, and I was really, really flat, and I was a bit nervous because like the first scene, I had one line in this first scene. It was, I always remember this. My line was, "You're among friends here," and I actually said, "You're around friends here." And this woman came to me and said, "It's actually among," and it was just that whole strict thing of you can't say that. It's actually among. It says there on the. And I just had this whole moment of being like, oh my God, it really freaked out. It threw me for a day. But it's interesting when you do stuff like this, there's nothing strict about it. So we can play and we can work and that's good.
But it does make you a better actor because you need to, it's like when you're a pilot, you need flight hours. So any young actor out there, do as many short films as possible, just do it. But by doing it, when you get that one line in a TV show, you'll be on it, you'll be relaxed because you've been in that situation before and worked under different stresses. So it's about doing it. And so if anyone's going to watch this and take something from this, just go out and do it. And from that, things will happen.
Definitely, it is. The more you do it, they say the better you get. I mean, I was going to say, I spoke to an actress on my show once, and she did a film called Sail with Sam Jackson, and talking about the unity and stuff on there, because you'd think obviously Samuel Jackson, but there was a scene where I think her brother had died in the film, and she was going to go back, and they were just walking off, and at the spur of the moment, she just turned round. And she was going to go back because she thought her character, it was also exactly what Jacob just said, you can change things around. She just decided at the spur of the moment, no, she wouldn't walk off. Her character wouldn't walk off. She'd want to see her brother again before they left him for the animals to eat and stuff like that. So, and she turned around and she said she felt this massive arm of iron go round her. And it was Samuel L. Jackson just held her back and he just said to her, you don't want to do it. Remember him as he was. And it was just, she said, the goosebumps just shot through because she goes, it was totally off the record, off the cuff. And she turned around to Samuel Jackson, knew like that, he knew exactly what she was trying to aim for. Didn't tell her off for doing it, for going and doing her own thing. He worked with it straight away, and they stayed it to the final cut. And it was just like, because they just thought that worked perfectly. Yeah. And it's, it's having that ability because the joined, combined effort of all your minds together and all your experiences together, you can make something so beautiful and so great at the end of it by doing stuff like that. Cool. So I'm moving on. Where will we be able to see your film? When do we... I know you're starting tomorrow, so
doing a festival run. So it's dependent on the festival run, but the aim is for it to be released because karate is being one of the introductory sports in the Tokyo Olympics next year. Mm-hmm. So it depends on the festival run at the moment, but roughly to be released in late July, August, early August. But it depends on, because when it's in a festival, your release date it can't be released, and it depends on distribution as well. Yeah. Because that's where it all changes, and also if you get Academy nominated, then that changes as well. So yeah, but it will be on all platforms. The idea, I wanted to make a film. I never wanted to just make a film for myself. I don't want to do that. I've always wanted to share and have an audience and different audiences. If it's martial arts audiences, if it's people that just want to watch people film. Because I was speaking to a lot of actors and they were saying we want to make like people, like the story like Cares and things like that about people, and that's all for another audience. So yeah, it'll be on all major platforms. It's just dependent on how it goes and how far it goes. But yeah, there's lots of planned to happen in the future.
Fantastic. And are you on social media? So we
Yeah.
can share those out as well?
Well, it's Just a Girl on Facebook, Just Girl Film, and on Instagram, Just a Girl Film as well. So yeah, give us a follow and like and share everything.
Excellent, I will do. And I know Jacob's already. Michael, are you on there?
Yeah, I'm on there. You can find me.
Okay, will do. I've got a signature question. Jacob's been succumbed to this before. This is one already, the last time he was on. But he's going to do it again. This is a really off-the-wall question, and it's a totally nothing to do with anything we've spoken about. This is purely because a former guest of mine has been a Muppeteer for 30 years with Jim Henson, which is absolutely amazing. So I'm going to ask a question to each and every one of you. If you could have a Muppet created after your own personality, what would it be? Or who would it be? And you can have a mix of them.
I do know what the Muppet is.
And this is probably you now going to be the third.
Okay.
Uh,
what are the two people in New York?
Uh,
What they're called.
God, which Muppet are you going to be?
which month? I don't know what.
Oh, I do know one actually.
Yeah. Monster, the drummer.
Oh, Animal, yeah. The mad drummer, yeah.
Yeah, I can see that. See? I can see that.
Fair enough.
It's Chef one.
Yeah.
Yeah. That only because that's what they used to call me, because I used to speak their language. So because I didn't speak English very well when I was a kid. So the Swedish chef.
You're fine. Mm-hmm. That's like
Yeah.
Clayne Crawford. Clayne Crawford did a great
I
impression.
did last time because I've got terrible jokes. I think I said them old blokes sat in the audience. What they
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
Statler and Waldorf, yeah.
like laughing at themselves. I think that's me. Yeah, I think that's.
What were they called, Chris?
Statler and Waldorf.
All right.
I don't know which one I am though. I'm not sure. I'll have to have a
Like
look.
eyebrows and that, I guess.
Yeah, I'll be
Yeah.
eyebrow.
Or you could be Fozzie Bear, because he always tells about waka 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 in that one.
I'll be him as well then. Okay, I'll do loads. I'll cover.
Sorry, I've got to throw that in. That's just been a signature question of mine on every show. I've wrote an off the wall thing that I put in there. Is there anything else you'd like to say before I stop recording to people who are watching and listening to you?
No, just stay aware of us. Keep posting stuff, and
Yeah, like if there's anyone suffering like with hearing loss or about even like with girls in martial arts, just contact me. I'll contact you back, like literally, and we can open up a conversation about women in sport and women with hearing loss and anyone with hearing loss as well. So yeah, if you want to contact me, just talk and want to be involved in the film, definitely.
Cool. Jacob?
Yeah, no, definitely that. Yeah, people just get involved, give personal stories. Yeah, I suppose we should say, me and Michael say, 13 Grades now available on
13 grades. Yeah.
Sky, Amazon,
All platforms.
Google, all of them.
platforms.
You can find it.
13 grades. Go
Go and watch it.
and buy it and see it.
And I love my mum.
Oh yeah, I love my mum as well. So it's an American tour as well.